Hey guys, welcome back into Jute DIY. I'm Sarah. Today we're doing some tier tray decor. I've made some super cute, easy, and budget-friendly Easter DIYs for your tier tray. So if you want to see what I made and how I made it, stay tuned. All right, getting started with our first project, I'm going to take these little mini wood rounds. I picked these up at Michael's a while back. They're about 1.5 inches wide. But you can, I think, pick these up pretty much anywhere, any craft store. And then I'm going to use Scrabble tiles. I picked these Scrabble tiles up off of Amazon. I had a huge package of them, and I've been working my way through them for about a year now. So they come in real handy, and I love to have them in my stash. I had painted my little wood rounds with a kind of a pastel rainbow color scheme, and this is going to be the palette that I use throughout my whole video. So I'll leave everything that I use in my description box down below, so if you're curious about a certain color or product, you can go down there and find out what it is. So if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know I like to put these little beads on the backs of anything I'm going to make into a banner. And I'm going to make this little guy into a banner, so I'm going to put my wood bead on there. But when I strung up my banner here, I noticed that the pieces wanted to go towards the floor, so I had to put a counterweight on it. So that's what those little glass pebbles are. Those are just from the Dollar Tree, and I just put that at the very bottom so that the items will swing out. This isn't a big deal if you're putting this up against a wall or somewhere where it's not free-flowing, I guess. But if it's just kind of on a shelf or somewhere where it's not going to be up against a wall, you might need to add a bit of a counterweight to help make it come forward. And I hope that that all makes sense. So I'm going to take a white Posca pen here, and I'm just going to add some polka dots on each of my little wood rounds, and then we're going to string it on. I found this really cute twine at my Dollar Tree. It's gray and white, and I just really like that kind of neutral color. And so I'm just going to string on my beads, and I'm going to start out with my last letter and go to my first. And here it is, all strung up. Such an easy project, and I just love how bright and colorful this little banner is, and it will look perfect on my tier tray. All right, for project number 2, I wanted to create a carrot from this heart. I've seen people on Pinterest doing the same idea, and I thought it was just too cute not to try. So I picked up a heart from my Dollar Tree in the Crafter Square section, and I gave it a coat of paint in this kind of orange melon color from Apple Barrel, and it just worked really well with this lace ribbon. I picked up this lace ribbon from Michael's last year, I think, on clearance, so you may not be able to find this exact same lace ribbon, but just check your craft stores out. They always carry lace ribbon on the spool, so hopefully you'll be able to find something similar. If you can't find orange lace, you could always try like burlap or regular ribbon. You know, like a cute orange with polka dot ribbon would be adorable for this project too. So I'm going to hot glue my lace around the very top part of my heart there, and I wanted the lace to go up over the top of those bumps of the heart just a teeny tiny bit. And then I'm just going to continue wrapping and gluing this lace ribbon around the heart, and as you can see, it kind of pulled that ribbon in the back and folded it down. So the goal here is to make the front of your carrot look as flat as possible. And just so I was just kind of pinching and gluing wherever I needed it to, so that I could get that front looking as flat as possible. But because this is tapered, you can't just wrap the ribbon around it and have it come out perfectly. You do have to do a little bit of folding and gluing to get it to lay flat. And you're just going to continue going down until you are done. And it should look something like that. So I put a little hole in the top. I just used my hand drill that I have on hand, but you can do that any way you want. And then I'm going to take this greenery from Walmart. This is the boxwood greenery, and this is actually the old boxwood greenery, and I think it looks, I like this one a lot better than what they sell now, but any greenery that you have on hand will work great for this project. You just want it to have kind of that long green color to make it look like those carrot greens. And then I wanted to add a little something extra to the top of my greenery, so I pulled out my jute twine, and I'm going to wrap that around kind of the base of the greenery just a couple of times to add a little something extra. I just thought it needed a little more decoration, and I felt after I put this twine on that it was the perfect touch. So I'll just add that on and then clip the ends. And then after looking at it more, I decided that I wanted the top of my lace to be folded down as well. So I wanted it to kind of mimic that rounded top edge. So I went ahead and glued those down. And I think that that made it look more like kind of the carrot shape I was looking for. And then after that, I wanted to add some twine, like a twine bow. So I just did a double layer of jute twine and just made a simple bow out of that. And then I'll just glue that to the front, and that will be the end or the completion of this project. And I love how it turned out. It was the perfect addition to my tier tray. For project number 3, we're going to use one of these rectangle wood planks from the Dollar Tree. And I just gave it a coat of the Hello Hobby chalk paint in Swan. And now I'm going to take a dry chip brush and the Waverly chalk paint in Mineral, and I'm going to give this a nice dry brush just to distress it a little bit. Next, I'm going to use these 3 little wood eggs from the Dollar Tree and this purple paint. This is a lovely light colored purple. And so that first one is just that purple paint. For the second one, I added a little bit of white because I wanted to create an ombre effect of these eggs. So a little bit of white in with that purple for the second egg. And then for the third egg, I'll add even more white in to create the very lightest shade. Now that everything is dry, I need to assemble my project. So taking that jute twine again, I wanted to continue on with the jute twine as a theme in my projects today, just so it was a little bit cohesive. So I'm gonna hot glue a little bit of that twine in the back, and then I'll wrap it around a few times. I wasn't too careful about where the twine was going or how many times I was wrapping. I just kind of wrapped it until I liked it. And I'll do that to the bottom as well. And now we're going to add our eggs. I'm just going to hot glue them in this little pattern on my board. And then of course, because these are Easter eggs, I thought they definitely needed to be decorated. So I'm going to take my white Posca paint pen and I'm going to add some decorations to each of my eggs. Now I know that the Posca paint pens are a little on the pricey side and they're not in everyone's budget. So if you don't have a Posca paint pen or don't want to purchase one, go ahead and just get a good fine line paintbrush. I usually link the paintbrushes I've used in the past from Walmart, which they're pretty decent. Get some white paint, water it down just a tiny bit, and then you can create these same lines. And if you look back on some of my older projects, you'll see that I used to use the fine liner paintbrush and paint all the time for my fine detail work. So it's definitely possible. I just like the convenience of the Posca paint pens, so I probably won't go back to doing the fine liner too much, just because it's more convenient for me. But here is a look at this cute little project. I added a tumbling tower block on the back just to make this stand up, and I think it is so cute. All right, for this project, I was very much inspired by this Etsy shop. She's got the most adorable things. I will definitely link her shop down below, but I am using one of the Dollar Tree DIY ornament eggs. I filled in the hole, and then I gave the egg 2 coats of yellow paint. And while that top coat of paint was still wet, I am going to go around the very outside edge with a little bit of orange. And my goal of keeping that top layer wet is to blend in that orange paint with the yellow, so it looks a little seamless. It's not like a super harsh line around the outside edge, but it just gives it a little more dimension and interest in the little chick. So just keep going around, and if you need to add more yellow in there, you definitely can add more orange to the very outside edge. Just kind of keep playing with it, blending those colors together until you like how it's turning out. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some of that orange down into the center of the egg too, just to give it a little more dimension. And then once this is dry, I'm going to go in with a pencil, and I will just pencil in all of the elements that I want to put onto my chick. So I like to do pencil first and then go over with paint, because it's a lot easier to erase pencil, and then I can get it just how I want it, and I don't make as many mistakes with my paint. So I'm using a Posca paint pen here just to create like the little eyes and the eyebrows, and then I'll use a paintbrush and some orange paint to paint in the little beak. So if you're struggling with drawing on something, think of everything as a shape. So pretty much anything can be made into multiple shapes or a shape. For instance, the beak here you could think of it as a diamond. So you could draw a diamond and then go back in with your pencil and just kind of shave out those curved areas for the shape of the beak. And that makes it a little bit easier to draw. So if you're struggling, give that a try and see if that helps you. Now I'm going in right underneath the black of the eye with some green paint. I just decided with her colors of yellow and orange that green would be a nice complement to her little body. Now I'm going to add white at the very, very bottom of the eye, and then add in some eye shine. And then I'll go back in with the black and go around the very bottom of the eye just to define it a little bit more, and then go around the beak to define that as well. Now taking this fluffy paintbrush, this is not anything special, I am dipping it into some orange paint and then getting a lot of that paint off of my paintbrush, and then I'm going to go in and scrub in a circle on the cheeks, and that just gives it that nice soft appearance. And then of course going in around the whole entire egg with my black Posca paint pen in those kind of squiggly broken lines. And I just love the way that looks, and I think it adds a lot of whimsy and character to my little chick here. Next I'm going to add in a gingham bow. I had the orange and I thought it would be perfect complement to her colors, so I just created a basic bow out of that gingham ribbon from the Dollar Tree. And then to make her a freestanding piece, I am using a block. This is just a square block. And I just glued that on the back so that she'll stand up. And here's a look at how she turned out. I think she's so cute and I just love it so much. For project number 5, I'm going to use these mini canvases from Michaels. I used 3 of them for this project and I painted them each a different color. and then went in with some washi tape and created some stripes. Next, I'm going to add on my white paint in light layers using this makeup sponge. And I've seen people using these little clips to hold the makeup sponge while they do this, and I always forget. So very proud of myself for remembering this time, and it does make it a lot easier. So just keep going with that white paint until you're happy with how opaque it is. And then once it's all dry, I just rip off that washi tape and I have perfectly awesome and clean lines. Now I'm going to go in with these little mini ornaments from the Dollar Tree. They come in a couple different styles, but I'm using the egg, the bunny, and the carrot in this project. And I'm just going to give each of these a coat of the antique wax from Waverly with a baby wipe. I'm just using a baby wipe there, and that gives it a very nice kind of stained look. Now once these are dry, I'm going to go in with my white Posca paint pen, and you guys know my affinity and love for polka dots, so I'm adding polka dots onto mine. But if you don't want to add polka dots, leave them off, or you can add stripes or other patterns, whatever you want to add, or you could paint these or leave them, whatever you want to do. Remember, it's your project, so you can create it how you like. And then we're just going to add a little bit of hot glue to the back of the wood pieces, and we'll add them onto our canvas. So I kind of made the bunny go straight up and down, and then the carrot and the egg, I put it at an angle. I just thought that was cute, and I liked the way it looked. So here is my trio for my tier tray. All right, I think we're on number 6 now. I've lost count, but I'm gonna use another one of these Dollar Tree DIY ornament eggs, filled in that hole, you know the drill, painted it green, and now I'm gonna add 3 stripes of this lace ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I'll start in the middle, and then I'll add a piece at the top and a piece at the bottom. Then I have this little wood flower. This was from Valentine's Day. Painted it blue, gave it some polka dots, and glued that on the front as well. And then we're gonna go in and we're gonna paint up some of these really cute little eggs. Those are the mini ones, and I painted them up like actual Easter eggs. Now to make this a standing piece, I am using 2 of the Dollar Tree wood square pieces. I am doing that because the tumbling tower block was a little bit too long, and because it curves at the bottom, you could see that tumbling tower block from the very edges. So gluing 2 of these little blocks together was a better option and hid the fact that there was blocks back there. So now we're going to glue our little baby eggs to the front of our big mama egg. And I kind of made it so that one egg was kind of facing down. I just made them look like they were just laying there, kind of maybe fell over, and I thought that was cute. So that's all there is to this project. It's cute, it's fun, it's whimsical, and perfect for a tier tray. All right, for this DIY, we're gonna use one of these Dollar Tree DIY ornaments again, but this time in the bunny shape. So I am using the antique wax again with the baby wipe, and I'm just rubbing that on until it is fully covered, and I'll let that dry. Once that was dry, I'm gonna go in with my Posca paint pen, and I'm going to create some doodle flowers. So if you don't know how to draw doodle flowers or need ideas on how to draw doodle flowers, Pinterest is a great place to look. There's so many ideas, and even people that just like break it down into those steps so that you can easily draw these little doodle flowers. They're so simple, but when you put a few elements together, they are so cute. And I just love this style. It is definitely me, but like this flower here is just 4 hearts together. Very simple, very easy. Add a center, and now it's a flower. So cute. And then Just go in, add some little leaves and a stem, and you've got an adorable flower like this, just a swirl with a stem and some leaves. Now it's a rose. So if you're scared to try drawing anything, like I said before, just try and break it down into basic shapes. And I think it's easier to think of things in their basic shapes and then be able to draw it than it is to like think of the bigger picture and try to draw it. And then of course practice. So if it's something you want to get better at, practice. I don't even know how many sheets of like doodles and flowers and things that I have from years past, you know, like constant. So once I was happy with what I had on my bunny, I'm gonna glue that down to one of those eggs from the Dollar Tree. Now I am just making one of these bows. What is it? A scrap bow? Or I can't remember what everybody calls them, but it's just like a messy bow. Is that what it's called? Anyhow, it just strips together. You tie it in the middle, and then I glued that down over the hole because I didn't want to put a string through it, since I wanted this to be a piece that would stand on my tier tray. I thought it would just be cuter to put like a bow or something here, so I just decided on this type of bow. I thought it was cute and added in that kind of rustic feel that I was going for. Now for this one, I did add the tumbling tower block to the back because this egg is bigger and it hid that block. And here it is, all finished. I think it is super cute. Okay, for our final project of the day, I was heavily inspired by this photo you see on your screen. This is from an Etsy shop, and so I will link their information down below if you want to go check it out. But I thought that that piece was beautiful, and I wanted to create something similar for my tier tray. So I am starting off with a pencil drawing. I just did like a half circle on the bottom, and then I'm just going in and doing the ears. And I definitely used that photo to reference the ears a little bit. And that's another thing I think a lot of artists do, is they use reference photos when they're creating stuff. Especially when you're first getting started, it's hard to know what something might look like in your head. And so using a reference photo is totally fine, and you definitely shouldn't feel bad about that or ashamed to use reference photos. So, you know, don't take somebody's work, copy it exactly, and then call it your own, but to use elements or ideas from another artist is okay. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to paint the parts of the bunny that would be white. I'm going to paint those white. And you might be thinking to yourself, but the canvas is white, so why would I need to paint it? And that's because, well, at least for me, I want my canvas to look cohesive and I want it to look all the same. So if I keep that canvas unpainted, it's going to look different than the areas that are painted. So I just went ahead and gave all of those white areas a coat of paint. And I'm not being super precise about my lines. So some of it's a little blurry, moving into the blue paint a little bit, not super defined. Then I'll go into the inside of the ears with some of the ballet slipper. All right, now we're going to create the crown or the headpiece for our bunny. I'm going to go in with a Art Home Décor chalk paint in the color Sage, and I'm just going to create the vine with a crown and then the leaves. So this will be the first layer of leaves. And I did water my paint down just a little bit. Don't want to water it down too much, but just enough to make it a little more fluid and easier to work with. And that isn't going to affect the integrity of the paint or your painting. If you get a little too much water in there, it might make your paint a little too translucent. So you might need to go over those leaves again to make them more opaque if that is what you're wanting. So I'm going to continue just painting on these little leaves onto our crown. Color, this is the same brand in the color Antique Green. So I'm going to mix that sage color and the antique green together to create a bit of a darker color, just, you know, a different color, so that there was definition in the second layer of leaves. So I'll go through and I'll just paint on a second layer of leaves, just filling out basically that crown. So here is another pro tip for you. Not that I'm a pro, but here's a tip for you. Every painting goes through an ugly stage. So if you're looking at your painting and you're thinking, oh, this is horrible, this is not turning out good, it looks awful, just know that every painting, and every pro will tell you this, every painting will go through an ugly stage. And that's kind of where I was at this point. I was like, I don't know, this is not looking so good. But I kept going, and at the end, absolutely love how this turned out. So I am just using a little bit of that green, not mixed in with anything, it's just that antique green color, and I'm defining the leaves a little bit more, those darker leaves. And then I'll use this brown color to go over the center stem, or the vine, the place where all of the leaves are coming off of. I go over that just to define it a little bit more, and then I'm going to go in on those lighter green leaves, add just a little bit of line work to it just to make it look kind of like a leaf, and then define the stems of the leaves. Now I'm going to go in with the elephant from Waverly and a dry, stiff brush, and I am going to add this kind of, I don't know, smudgy stuff all over it, make it look smudgy. I love this look. I just really adore the way that this style of painting looks. And then I'll go in with the ballet slipper, and I don't even wash that paintbrush off, so it's kind of mixed in with a little bit of that gray color too, and I think that looks really good. Now at this point I was still thinking, I don't know. But then once I got out my Posca pen here and started to kind of outline loosely those areas like in the ears and the leaves, that is when I started to really like the way that this piece was turning out. So like I said, if you're kind of doing something, painting something or drawing something, and you're still like, I don't know, just keep working on it until it is completely finished, and then make your decision as to whether you think it is good or not. Because a lot of times I'll be halfway through something and I'll be like, oh, this is not good. This is gonna turn out terrible. And most of the time it doesn't. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it's just, you know, like, that's going into the recycle bin right away. But most of the time it kind of works out. So now I had these little roses. They're like paper flowers in my stash. I grabbed these from a craft store locally, but I know Michael's carries like the paper flowers that you can buy. And then you could also get like ribbon flowers from Walmart. So anything like that will work here. And I'm just gluing on a couple of these little roses to finish off the crown for my bunny. And overall, I love how this turned out, and I think it is just precious. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your precious time with me. I really do appreciate it from the very bottom of my heart. Also, if you liked anything, make sure that you leave me a comment. Let me know what was your favorite and what you might recreate for your own home decor. Also, if you could do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up on your way out, I would appreciate that as well. Also, if you want to see more videos from me, make sure that you click the ones that'll pop up on your screen. And as always, until next week, I hope you have a happy, healthy, and blessed day. Bye!